Hey guys, so I'm back. I took some time between piano lessons and baking bread and muffins to do some research and get you the answers and details you were all eager to get regarding garlic preservation. So first things first, just a quick reminder to please avoid posting anything that has not been reviewed by myself so I can fact check as far as preservation methods. I just want to make sure we're being extra prudent and responsible with the information that we're sharing within this group. I don't want anybody to have any problems or issues, okay? So that said, let's have some fun and let's learn about garlic preservation. So there are several ways that you can preserve garlic, but there are a couple different varieties. There's hardneck and softneck. And softneck garlic is actually preserves longer by 3 months actually in its natural state than the hardneck variety. Now we live in Maine, so growth-wise, to grow a good garlic in Maine, you want a hardneck garlic. So we do grow hardneck garlics, but in fairness, with the amount of processing I do, what we grow gets used up. Now, we're just getting to the point in our garlic growth, we've been doing it for several years. This year we have, I think, 400 heads in the ground right now. And maybe at the end of the video, I'll take you out and show you what the garlic looks like at the start of the season, because you plant it in the fall. But we'll go through that as well. And then I'll show you some things that I've done to preserve our garlic, some different tools. But to start with, I already touched on this in the original post. You can dehydrate and dry garlic. I have a Waring Brothers dehydrator. What I do is I put my garlic, once I've peeled it, I put it through my food processor. The slicing blade is phenomenal for that. You can do 20-30 heads at a time and just pummel them through. You will have far less garlic when you do that than you think you will. And then what I do is I just layer it over the trays, I turn it on, and then I let it dry until it's crisp. And when I mean crisp, I mean you can break it in half like a chip. So here is a jar of my home preserved garlic. I actually have several of these, and you can hear how they crunch around. And then, Nate, could you come here for just a minute? I cannot. This jar is too big and I can't hold this and do that at the same time. Can you open this for me? Bear with me 1 second. Okay. So this is what a garlic chip looks like, and if you hear that crunch, that is a good dry chip. It's nice and thin. The thinner it is, the faster it dries. The longer it's dried, the better it will store. If you live in an environment that's rather moist, I'm thinking southern Florida area where it tends to be damper, you may want to invest some money in some silica packets. Silica is, and you want it something that's prepackaged so it's sealed, but silica is those little beads you sometimes get when you buy merchandise or clothes. Sometimes they even have it in food. Bags of pepperoni sometimes have it. It absorbs the extra moisture, so it inhibits moisture being added to a cured product like dried garlic, and it prevents it from building moisture, caking, molding, and that kind of thing. Garlic is an incredibly low acid food, much lower than a lot of others. So it takes literally nothing for it to start growing the spores for botulism. This includes garlics left out in the room temperature areas with vinegars, in wine, in olive oils. Like I said earlier, there was something posted as far as fermenting garlic, and while we will touch on fermenting, it is not recommended to do that. So we're not going to recommend that, you know, anybody endeavor on making sauerkraut with garlic. You can make sauerkraut with garlic in it, but you have other components in that that bring up the acidity and the pH balance. Now, some people have asked and pointed out about commercial garlic and other forms that I've been in. And yes, commercial garlic is canned or jarred. And the reason they're able to do that is because they put it through a process where they bring up the pH. They use, there's two different types of acid. One is citric acid, which is acid derived from citrus fruits. The other one is, let me see if I can find it. I wrote it down here, but I don't know, where did I stick that? Sorry, I'm looking at my cheat sheet that I typed up. Where are we? Acidifying garlic, right there. Sorry, my computer is chiming. Hi, Betta. Hi, Beth. I can see that there are 10 of you watching right now, but I can't see all your names for some reason. It just... If you two boys are going to argue, then you're going to have to shut it off. Sorry. I still have to mom even though I'm doing this. Okay, so now that I said it, I can't find it. But I will see if I can find it. It doesn't really matter though, either way. So what they do is they put the garlic chopped through a process, they pack it with these acids, that brings up the pH, and then they're able to add the acidic garlic to an oil, and then they're able to put it through a commercial cannery. Again, the temperatures are so much higher for a commercial cannery than what you can achieve in your own kitchen, that canning garlic is never safe. Hi, Sarah. So glad. So absolutely, under no circumstances do we want you attempting to can garlic at home, no matter what anybody tells you, no matter whose grandma did what, okay? The other thing with that is it will also kill the components, I'm sorry, not the components, the properties in the garlic that make it healthy and beneficial for you, and it kills the flavor. Like there's no flavor to it. So definitely do not do that. Now the other way you can store garlic is in one of these handy dandy bags. I save onion bags when and if I ever buy onions, which I rarely do, but we try to grow most of our own. But this is one of our garlics. Of course, when you're shopping for garlic, because you're going in a grocery store and you don't know who's handled it and where it's lived and all of that and what it's been exposed to, you want to find garlics that are completely sealed. See how this has fractures in the skin? You don't want to buy garlic from a store that has those fractures. But I know how this was stored. I know where it's lived. I know what it's been exposed to, so I know that it's safe. But that is another way you can store your garlic. Hardneck garlic will last 6 months in a cool, dry, dark place. Soft neck is 9 months, I think I already said. Same conditions, as close to refrigerator temperature as possible without actually being in refrigerator temperature. And the reason you don't want it in refrigerator temperature is because when it's in refrigeration, it actually stimulates the garlic head to think that it's in the ground, and so it's going to start the sprouting process much faster. It's going to get prepared to push out that shoot. And the way this works plant-wise is that when plants die in the summer, in the fall, when they start withering down, all the energy that's up in the sprouts or up in the scallions of bulbed vegetables like onions and garlic and things like that, they draw them down into the roots. So all of those nutrients, all of those beneficial vitamins and things are going to be sucked down into the root bulb to preserve the bulb for the next season so it can regrow. When it is put into a situation where it thinks it's been through a winter, it's going to then start, after some time, taking all that energy to force out a new shoot to start growing again. So you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. Okay, so if you can avoid refrigerator garlic, that's absolutely ideal. So somebody had mentioned garlic in oil. You can store peeled garlic in oil in your refrigerator, not on your counter. Again, because garlic is such a low acid vegetable or an allium, it will start growing botulism toxins within a matter of hours. It's not something that can be set on the counter. Again, I know there's probably people even in this group that have done it, have not had any issues, but please do not mistake luck with science. They're two different things. I want you to have safe, tried and true methods. So if you want to store garlic in oil, you absolutely can. Put it in your refrigerator, peel it, cover it in the jar with oil, put it in your refrigerator. Maximum it should sit in your refrigerator is 4 days. That's it, 4 days. Hi, Sandy. So glad you could join us. So make sure you put a date on it. Make sure you put the date that you processed and put the date that it's due to expire. Try to have it all used within that 4 days. So really don't put anything more in there than what you can realistically use within those 4 days. Now, another method that you can do that will give you a slightly longer storage time is to utilize white wine or vinegar. That will actually bring up the pH. So let me see here. Adding wine or vinegar to garlic produces a acidic environment less than pH 4.6. So Clostridium botulinum cannot grow. Blech. Botulism can't grow. Stick to the words you can pronounce. Okay, so dry white wines, red wines, balsamics you can do, but balsamics are so strongly flavored that it's probably going to mar the flavor of your garlic. So probably best to avoid those. Anything that has been stored in vinegar or wine, you can do up to, I think it's 4 months. Let me check my notes here again. Yes, 4 months. And you can add other seasonings in with it. Peppercorns, red pepper flakes, dill, whatever you choose. So again, same thing as with the oil. You want to write the date that you prepared it, write the date that it would be no longer good by, and try to have it used up by that date. But yeah, so you can, that does give you a little bit of a longer term storage. And really, I don't think that would hurt even in a pasta sauce, because you think about all the recipes you use that you have a dry wine put in, or a cooking wine, or a cooking sherry. So make sure you do label your things though. It's always a good idea, if you're not using a canning jar that provides the label on the lid, that you have some masking tape, and I recommend either a black permanent marker or a nice gel pen. And then put a strip of clear tape over it, either packing tape or Scotch tape, so that no moisture from your refrigerator can smear it. That way you have a good readable date and you have good safe product. Any questions so far? Okay, so we're gonna keep on keeping on. I am so hot in here. We just made bread and muffins and it smells wonderful, but holy moly is it hot in here. Okay. So another thing you can do when you're ready to use your garlic is you can roast it. You can roast it on a grill, you can roast it in your oven. I have a handy dandy garlic roaster right here. I love it. All you have to do is take your garlic here, chop the heads of it right off so that only the tips of the garlic are showing. Throw some olive oil on it, stick it in the garlic roaster, pop it in the oven, and let it go until it's soft. And when it's done, you let it cool just a little bit so that you can handle it, because hot oil and hot garlic can be dangerous if you handle it with your bare hands too hot. Turn it upside down, give it a squeeze. All your garlic heads are gonna pop right out, and then you can make your pasta, you can make whatever it is, your soups, whatever. It's fabulous. And it's so good. It is so good. Perfect for garlic breads. And you should not leave it on the counter. Once you break the head, you could leave it on your counter until it's ready to sprout. But ideally, if your house is like most houses, up to 60 degrees, it's probably going to sprout before you have time to use it. So what I would do is I would go ahead and break up the head, use what you're going to use fresh, and then take the rest and either store it in oil for 4 days in the fridge, or store it in the vinegar. Vinegar would give you a much longer time. So that would be my recommendation for that, Lynn. Any other questions? Okay, I want to go back up to dry garlic too. Another thing that you can do with your dry garlic is once you have it in chips like this, you're welcome, honey. Once you have it in chips like this, you can go ahead and put it through a food processor to make yourself garlic powder. Now this is my own homemade garlic powder. You can see we use it a lot. I refill this jar over and over. You can make garlic salt with it, and it's completely stable to be out in your room temperature without any problems or issues. Use 1 part garlic to 4 parts salt, and that will give you a beautiful, nice, flavorful garlic salt to use. I even add a little parsley, dried parsley, because I have tons of it. I grow tons of that as well. So feel free to go ahead and do that. I blend mine actually in my Ninja. I got a Ninja last year for Mother's Day, and it works perfect to make this beautiful powder. So yeah, so those are the ways you can preserve your garlics. If you're going to be buying store-bought garlic, again, make sure that the paper is completely sealed. Check for molds, especially down by the roots. Everything on the garlic bulb on the exterior should be completely dry. Now, different varieties of garlic do have colors to them, reds, purples, even some black on the paper that's dried. That black is typically the purple color, and it's just gotten darker over time as it dried. But just make sure that there is no mold. Make sure it doesn't have any musty smell to it, that it's nice, clean bulb, and then go from there. So, let me think. Is there anything else? Would you all like to go see some sleeping garlic that's just starting to wake up? I'm going to take it as a yes, just because I'm itching to go outside. I typically use olive oil or coconut oil. I don't like to use anything that's been processed with GMO. Hi, Jill. Oops, excuse me, I'm trying to unplug my phone here. I don't like to use anything that's been processed with GMO. So I buy all natural organic garlic oil. I'm sorry, garlic oil. Garlic on the brain. Coconut oil or olive oil. And I buy it in big containers, so typically it's a trip to the Whole Food store or to Sam's. Sometimes Sam's Club has organic oil up there, very reasonably priced. So let's go outside. So I'm going to turn my camera around. So this is our yard. And these trees here, these are apple trees. I'll just show you around a little bit. And this is my little bitty vineyard. These are raspberries, razzleberries, and then those are my grapevines. And then this is my herb wall. We've not done our spring cleanup yet here. But see, each one of those cement holes, each one of those will hold different herbs or different varieties of herbs. So, and then these tires, like I told you before, I don't like to waste anything. So we had some bum tires, and rather than sending them to a landfill, we cut out the centers, filled them with soil and manure, and I use them for tomato beds, which are perfect. The heat from the sun absorbs right into the black of the tire, makes a nice warm bed for tomatoes, and they get so happy. So right here, this is garlic. There are 400, I'm actually going to go around this side. 400 bulbs in here, snoozing. And we'll be moving the straw. You can see there's a nice thick bed. Oh, see? Right here. And they're just starting to wake up. It is Beth, and they're so happy in it, and they produce so well. So these are my grapevines. And I have a beautiful purple champagne grape and Concord grapes. If you decide to get into grape growing, you always need more than one variety so that they pollinate one another. Same with apples and pear trees. And then this is my strawberry bed. So these are ever-bearing, so they'll reproduce over and over. And then those tires are where last year I had my sunflowers. Excuse me. I do several different varieties of sunflowers, some for us to eat, some for the birds to eat, so that everybody gets their share. And then this is the rest of our garden, which again is still sleepy. And then that right there is, whoops, it's gonna focus on my finger. See right there? That little tree right there? That's a pear tree. And that's a pear tree. And you can see them a little bit better there. They're staked, so they stay safe during the winter. And then there's another pear tree right there that we planted just last fall. And over here, these are my squash and cucumber arbors. I normally average 2 to 3 quarts a week, Beth. First couple harvests are a little bit heavier, only because you have so much more than what you realize once you move the leaves. I'm going to try to thin them this year, so I'm going to have to find another space to put more. But these trellises here, or arbors, my squash and my cucumbers grow right up over the top of them. They're fabulous. I don't have to deal with any type of rot or fungi getting on my squashes or my cucumbers. So it works really, really well for us. So the squash will climb that. Those little, I call them curly cues. You can see there are some here that are dry stuck. They wrap right around and they go right up and over. I actually originally had taken an old laundry line, which this was converted from, and we had them going right up and over. You could walk underneath it and just pick all you wanted. So it's worked out rather well. But everything is still waking up here. So, and I don't know if you can see, some of these will come back year to year, like that one right there. Others will not. So once I get cleanup done, I'll know what I need to add to. And that's pretty much everything. I do have pictures of my trellis when they're full. I'll try to post that in just a few minutes. A certain variety of squash or cucumber. No, and I don't specifically do any type of one variety. I do pickling cucumbers, I do straight 8s, squashes. We're big spaghetti squash eaters. I think it's a great, healthier version of pasta. So I try to use those as much as possible. And then we also grow tons and tons of zucchini. Oh, anyone else's video buffering? I don't know if everybody else is having issues. That strawberry patch, Beth, started with 12 plants. And then the second year I had it, I added another 12 plants. And they've self-seeded from there. So originally 24 plants. So, and we're going to be adding significantly this year to our gardening spaces. That little empty area between the willow trees and, okay, good, Rose, thank you. The space between the willow trees and the raspberries and the apple trees. I've got a bit of lawn there, but I'm not going to have lawn there when I'm done. I'm going to add more soil there and utilize that. I still have plans for an asparagus bed, but that takes 2 years. So I need to do things that are pertinent for this year first. And then if I have room, then I'll go ahead and take care of that and add that in. Asparagus you plant 1 year and then it roots well. And then the next year you can actually get produce out of. So in our apple trees we have, let's see, we have Cortland and we have Honeycrisp. You're welcome, Beth. And for our pears, I have Bartlett, and I have 2 other varieties, and I can't think of the name. I have them saved in a book because I like to try to get ones that will complement the other. Any plants that I plant, I tend to rotate, number one, as far as the main garden. So I never put the same crop in the same space, with the exception of the strawberries, because once they're rooted, they're rooted. So garlic will be moved next year. The tomatoes will go in the same soil this year, but I'll probably switch them out for probably pea towers the next year. If you happen to notice those large stick TP towers, my son built me those, my 17-year-old, out of just lay wood that had fallen over in the woods. They make fantastic bean towers. So I do grow vertical beans because it gives us more space to work with. Taking the squashes and the cucumbers out of the garden gave us more room with growing them vertically. They do fantastic. They love the sun. They get full sun right where they are at. And that's really one of the biggest things with garden planting. You want to plan what you're planting where according to what's going to thrive best with the partial light, the full light, or no light that you have. I have some more space out back where we have the framework for this greenhouse, and typically we have that up during the summer, but then we have a horseshoe court that we built, and we're considering maybe moving the horseshoe court, although I kind of hate to do that because, you know, it takes so much to build up stuff over time. Our soil was awful too, because this is basically a little cottage in the woods off the coast. We have very acidic soil, which is fantastic for some things, but not for others. But the topsoil, when they built this house, they did not keep the topsoil at the top. So we actually invested the money and bought topsoil. And then because my husband is in the field that he's in, he was able to get organic fertilizers and compost to feed our lawn and our gardens. I also order a truckload, and when I say a truckload, I mean a large dump truck of manure every year. There's a wonderful guy up in Monroe who sells manure by the truckload. And he has a small truck and he has a big truck. And we get our big truck load, and then we feed the garden through the summer. We're on the East Coast, Betta. So check your zoning. When you go to your plant stores, if you go to plant stores or your farm, local farmers, I highly recommend buying from a local farmer. We buy from a local farmer in Lincolnville for our seedlings. I would 100 times over rather support somebody local than order online. There's nothing wrong with ordering online if that's what you need to do, but I would definitely recommend, if you can find somebody who's an organic farmer who's selling product that's healthy, go ahead and do it that way, because you're supporting local businesses, you're contributing to your community. You know, it's just the better thing to do all the way around. So I'll give a shout out to who we have. We use 3 Bug Farm in Lincolnville. We have had fantastic success with their seedlings. They're nice and healthy. We order them, we pick them up. It's fantastic. I'm in Maine, Lynn. So, and we only live maybe, I would say we're about 1.5 miles inland, if that. So we live in a little community on the coast, right on the water. You're from South Jersey? So that's my plug for 3 Bug Farm. if you have a chance to order from them, I highly recommend. Let me see what else. Plan. My husband and I sit down and do a garden map out every year. We keep the year before. I keep it in a little folder so that we know what to rotate and to where. Companion planting is huge. Huge. Some vegetables don't like other vegetables of certain varieties, and it will inhibit their growth and inhibit their ability to produce good hardy produce. So definitely, look into companion planting and map out your garden according to what's going to do best where, and put it in a group. So say you have a full shade area, these are my full shade plants. Now what plants like this neighbor better? And then map out from there. It will help you make a more decisive, organized plan as far as what you're going to plant. Make sure your planting has proper spacing. That is huge to getting good, healthy bounties of crops. If y'all like, I know Beth had asked for a picture before. What is this? Hold on one second. I got something popping up. Okay, sorry about that. Somebody was coasting and I couldn't see all of what they were saying. I'm going to be incorporating that, Lynn, in this class and on my YouTube channel. I have to be honest with you all. I was not expecting this class to take off the way it did. It really, I'm very humbled. I really have no words. I'm kind of speechless. I wasn't expecting this many people to be interested in, the way I live. So, and I'm very, very honored. But yes, I do plan on incorporating what we do as far as gardening in such a small space, and how we become successful. If you would like, I'm happy to share pictures of last year's canning as well as last year's produce and harvests. I have whole albums of them on my husband's Facebook and my Facebook. So I'll scavenge some pictures and put together some things for you all if you'd like to see them. Does anybody else have any questions though? Oh, thank you, Greta. Betta, sorry. Oh, I'm so glad. I was worried I was talking too much. My son is just setting up the channel. It should be finished, he said, tonight. And he's taking the videos that I've put on this page, and he's going to, instead of having a part 1, 2, and 3, he's going to put them all together so you can see them consecutively. So, awesome. Okay, yep, I'll post pictures then. So, and I really appreciate it. I've gotten some little notes on posts, and some people have messaged me and been so encouraging, because I was really a little bit nervous, and yeah, so I'm glad everybody is enjoying it so much. So, okay, so that is it for garlic. So no fermenting, no canning of garlic. You can use it as an ingredient with other things, but not as the main source as far as what's being canned or processed. And if you have any questions about the information, let me know. If you'd like the link to the research article that I found from the University of California, I will be happy to post that in comments so you can have that. Beth, you're just the sweetest. Thank you so much. My son absolutely will enable closed captioning because I'm actually hard of hearing. So yes, I guarantee you he will do that because he knows better. So yes, we will get closed captioning on that as well. All right. So with that, I am going to go. I have some bread and muffins over here that I need to package up before my husband gets home. So thank you for your time, and thank you for taking such an interest in what I do. So have a wonderful day, guys. Good night.